Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in a dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
One day when the glory comes, it will be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day when the glory comes, it will be one day.
Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop and we ran up.
One day when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure.
Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in a dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen.
Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us this lovely day. We are delighted to have you join this global panel discussion on the topic global citizenship for youth. It's going to be quite an exciting time as we have an amazing lineup of speakers who are all present here, and we will start right about now. Um, my name is Daniel Stephen. I am the Secretary for the Global Network for Sustainable Development, and my task here today is quite a simple one to tell you about our network called the Global Network for Sustainable Development, which is hosting this panel discussion today. The Global Network for Sustainable Development is a non-governmental organization whose mission is basically to contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We do this by educating young future community leaders about the principles, not just of environmental sustainability, but also economic sustainability by involving them in active projects to achieve these goals. We've been in existence as a community for over 5 years now, and we implement our missions through high school called these Peace and Sustainability Clubs, which are clubs that are present in different countries. Right now, we are present in Cameroon, the United States of America, Nepal, India, Australia, Poland, to mention but a few. And we also have another project called the Sister School Project, where we connect young people from developing country schools with schools in least developing countries that have one need or the other, be they financial or material. We pair these schools up and they support each other to ensure quality education
बोल
is delivered at these schools. And
ना अभी नहीं हुआ
we also have our panel discussion, the one you're on today, and our webinar series that happens once every quarter and some bi-monthly. We'll be finding out more details about that. And we are very, very happy that you're able to join us in this meeting today. And I'm sure that you will have an amazing time on this global panel discussion. Be expectant. Please feel free to contribute through the chat box and get your questions ready for our experts that are with us in the house. Without wasting much time, I will now hand over to Dr. BK Sika, a board member of the Global Network for Sustainable Development, to give the welcome remarks. Dr. Sika, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and I welcome all to this session. It's a magnificent moment to extend my warm greetings to all the participants for this interactive session on behalf of Global Network Sustainable Development. Today's panel discussion is focused on global citizenship for youth in implementing sustainable development goals. As you all are aware, that youth is considered to be the backbone of the society, and it is considered to be the strength. It is therefore high time to channelize the youth and put responsibilities for global issues, as well as to build a more just and sustainable world. Thus, therefore, it is important to understand how achievable are these goals under present conditions, and are we on the right path to achieve the sustainable goals? As climate change is the single biggest threat to the sustainable development everywhere. My experience of livelihood sustainable development programs in Asia, Africa, and other countries, reveals that youth, especially women, are not channelized, and poverty is being visualized as the root cause of gender inequality. But the fact remains that the women's role in whether it is household activities or agriculture activities or raising livestock and others, she spends more than 16 hours a day. But still, the policies or interventions are focused mainly on the males, but women are being ignored. Another issue is that there is no synergy between the government agencies and also between the implementing agencies. Once the project is over or it is complete, after that they are left on the mercy of the God. There is no one. Government says our priorities are different, but farmers are, you see, left nowhere, Since the development cannot be sustained by exploitation of natural sources, and not simply through the migration of poor to the urban areas. Therefore, to achieve, effort must be on the way that all people of the societies must be catered and given, you see, proper advice and trainings from the grassroots development workers. Also, at the same time, researchers must stay shoulder to shoulder of the latest scientific development so that they are able to apply science into their problems. Further, policymakers must be informed and they're skilled and should be skilled to fulfill growing expectations of society. In this, I would like to welcome and introduce today's speaker, Dr. Amit Tuteja, Connecting Dreams Foundation, Mr. Cesar Morella, Global Consulting Groups USA, Dr. Joseph Never Again Foundation Rwanda, Ms. Kasha, Global Sunrise Project Canada, and Professor Sapna Narula, Dean School of Management, Nalanda University. I congratulate Dr. Narula for taking over as the President of Global Network Sustainable Development at such a young age. She has earned this position due to her hard work and dedication, and hope for more such position in future. I welcome Professor Mirik, founding President, Global Network for Sustainable Development. I also welcome executive team of Global Network for Sustainable Development, Munir, Ashima, Anshari, Stephen, and country coordinates and volunteers. I now hand over the proceeding to Dr. Mathur for moderating this session. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sikka.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sikka, for your kind words and your views on global citizenship and what we all can do. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for investing your time with us and joining this panel discussion on global citizenship for youth. My name is Ashima Mathur, and I'll be moderating this session. To have this discussion, we have a wonderful set of diverse panelists with us. To begin with, we have Dr. Amit Tuteja, who is the Director of Connecting Dreams Foundation. It's an initiative to promote the Sustainable Development Goals through the young changemakers, that is the youth. Dr. Tuteja has been working in the field of sustainability for a very long time, and he has been working with diverse organizations as well. I welcome you, Dr. Tuteja, for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ashima. And I would like to start by thanking GNSD for organizing this webinar on global youth citizenship. I think it's a need of the hour. And I really thank all of you to invite us as well to share our experience and discuss how can we move together in this particular thing. So I'll start by a small presentation, which will just give you an overview, the kind of work that we have been doing in this particular regard. Connecting Dream Foundation has been working since last 8 years in the same direction. We work with youth, and since 2015 we have kept SDGs as the main focus, and we align youth with communities to work towards localization of SDGs. And today we'll be sharing some experiences, certain projects that have come out of the model that we've been working on. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Is my screen visible to everyone? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, yes it is.
All right, thanks. So youth-led localization is something that we work on, and it's a unique approach for sustainable development goals. I'll be talking about that today. So through our program, which is called the Connect and Change program, we create a network of youth change makers to solve community-centric challenges through a very unique and innovative model of social entrepreneurship. Right. So what we generally do in this program is, so before I begin, the way we define change is something that it has to be trained. People has to be focused towards something. It doesn't happen on its own. So this is what we believe, that if we orient the already enthusiastic youth in the right direction, the change will happen, and this change will be sustainable. And this is what we are trying to do, that we are creating networks where like-minded people can come together, they own up the problem along with the community and solve it, and then hand over the solution to the community so that it becomes sustainable for a long time. So I'll just take you through the kind of work that we do, the engagement model that we have. We work with universities, colleges, and we form teams, youth teams in these colleges. Once these teams are formed, and we work in various colleges across India, so we have a huge number of teams that we form every year. So in a normal typical season, when we do this, around 50 to 60 colleges participate in this. In every college, we have approximately 30 to 60 people as part of the team, and these people then undergo a training, and what we call that is a Changemaker Academy. So it's a hybrid model where we have training online through content, self-learning modules, and we also have face-to-face learnings that we have, trainings that we do for them. And it's a very pretty simple training where we take people through 3 stages of change. First of all, each of these college teams identify a community within near their college specifically, and when they identify this community, either they have been working with them already or they identify a new community. Once they identify a community, then they identify the kind of challenges people are facing there. The way we call SDG challenges, the way we define is like dreams. So these dreams are something that people look after for. They think that they can solve, if they solve these challenges and fulfill these dreams, their life will be better. So once we collect, so in first phase, we collect these SDG challenges in a community, and these are, and then these are like problems people are facing in these areas. It can be sanitation, it can be education, it can be health, it can be anything, but these are very specific challenges. They're not broad challenges that we're talking about. These are very, very, very local. I'll say in a hyper local community, these challenges are figured out. Once they collect all these challenges from this community, and the survey is really huge. Once they collect all this, there is a data analysis portion that happened at that point of time, where each college team understands which kind of challenges they have to focus on, which are the priority challenges, which is a particular user group they want to start with. So that's the first step for change, as we say. Once they identify a problem statement to solve, for example, if the group comes out and say that we want to work in a field of education, we further inquire and what is exactly that they need to solve. They come out and say that we would like to help, for example, adolescent girls in that particular community, in this particular city or a district or a village, to get quality education. So we define that further and figure out that how many of such people are present there. Once they are very clear on what they want, what is the problem that they want to solve, then we go to the next stage, which is called create solutions. In this particular stage, a lot of skills are being taught to the change makers, where they go through a process of design thinking, they go through a process of ideation, they go through a process of problem solving, and various other things. And based on that, along with the community, they come out with best probable solutions that can be implemented in a short term in that particular community to solve that problem. That's the second phase that people go through. The third phase is once they finalize, these are the top 3 ideas, or these are the top ideas they want to implement, they do a proof of concept, they do a POC. And there's this third phase that we call change lives, where they work along with community. That's very important. They work along with community to test that model in a smaller group. Once they test that model in a smaller group, they figure out that what are the challenges that they'll face, what kind of problems they'll face, or what kind of feedback that they get once they implement these on a larger scale. So based on that feedback, some of them even pivot their model, they change their model, or they modify their model or optimize their model, and then execute at a larger scale. So this is a brief journey of every change maker. Once it is done, the project is called implemented at first stage. It is also done with academic institutions and not youth teams separately. One of the reasons is we want sustainability to happen in this entire model. We do not want that a team work with a community for a single year and then leaves. We would like them to work for a longer duration. We want them, once this team is gone, the other team should come up and take up this project and scale it up, or replicate in other areas if possible, or pick up another challenge in the same community and solve it moving forward. So this is what we do. So the kind of approach that we use, as I already mentioned, it's a 3C approach of change making that we have actually structured, packaged, created a curriculum around it. They did multiple experiments and tried it in various situations, and we have been very successful so far. And this has worked wonderfully well for us till now, where we start with collect dreams, second step is create solutions, and third is change lives. This is how we work, and we finally get to the final change there. And what we do is, at the core of the entire model are the SDGs. How do you align each of these problems that you collect with SDGs and other things as we move forward? As you say, that the benefits that changemaker get through this process is the kind of skills they learn. These are all 21st century change-making skills, and I think in post-COVID scenario, they make more sense. They start practicing empathy, they become thoughtful, they become creative, they start taking action, they have a lot of leadership skills that come up, and a lot of collaboration. That's the most important thing that we teach, that you have to do most of these things in collaboration with other college chapters or existing organizations, and also with the community. Alone, you cannot change the world. You have to collaborate. That's very important. That's the mantra that we teach them. We always align this particular season along with their academic year, so they don't have to do something out of their comfort zone also. So every portion, every step of the season is aligned along with their exams or whatever breaks they have during the academic year. So all these things are done in a typical academic year. The kind of support and benefits we give that, we give them different platforms to present. We take them to the Changemakers academic curriculum. We give them a lot of trainings, bootcamp trainings, and also trainings from other mentors. We also give them opportunities if they have good ideas, scalable models, they can connect with incubators. They work on live experiential projects, and these are not projects that we give them. These are projects that they have chosen. So the ownership is altogether theirs. We have a good network of mentors and experts. A lot of flexible hours are there in the curriculum, and the certification is also there in the end. So I'll just show you some of the things that have come out of this model. These are very few examples from the last season that we worked on, right? So the first example I would like to share is Project Green Gold. Okay, this is from a place called Palghar in Maharashtra near Mumbai, where there were a group of women who wanted to start something, and they started working towards making some products in bamboo. When we connected them to this college, a team from NMI School of Design in Mumbai, they started working with this project. And initially there were 9 women, and now they help them in branding, market linkage, creating a website for them, asking for orders for them, and also helping them with the design aspect of the products that they're making. So that helped the entire community really well. And within 6 months, the women that they started within a small village, it has expanded. This entire project now expanded to 9 villages with more than 200 women getting benefit out of it. Now the kind of revenue that they generate is really huge, and this project is now scaling up to a very big level now. So this is just one example, which is a rural example in Mumbai. The other example is Rivayat. On the right hand side of the screen, you can see this project is targeted towards a potters community in Delhi and areas around that. And the reason was that most of these people are now leaving this particular art of pottery, and especially terracotta pottery is something that these people are focusing on. So the team got together and they figured out how can they help the community so that they don't have to leave and they start earning in a better way. So they got together a group of almost 100 potters, trained them, and then also formed a team and a brand around this called Rivayat. Based on their experience, a lot of market linkages, online marketing was done, online shopping accounts were created for these potters. And there is a team of, I'll say they have now promoted themselves to change consultants and change makers now. So now each of these people are consulting a group of potters to help them enhance their income. Even during COVID, they were able to generate an income revenue of the scale of around 500,000 Indian rupees for the potters in Delhi and areas around, which is quite like very high as compared to the regular income that they generate using different models. So this is another successful model which is run by Shriram College of Commerce in Delhi. So it's not always about entrepreneurship. There are different aspects of the community and different problems in the community that people have to solve. And sometimes because there are so many other things going on, these take a back seat. So one of the things, one of the colleges came across while they were doing their dream collection phase, that they came out with a community of transgenders who were facing a lot of problems, especially acceptance in the society and the different other problems around these areas. So this team got together and said that we would like to make sure that people are aware about their challenges. People know what is to live like a transgender, and people should know how can we become a common community, how can we exchange ideas, how can we talk together and initiate communication among them. And we feel that most of the problems of the world will get solved once we open up dialogues between the communities, dialogues between people, communication between people. And I think this is one of the projects which is helping them create that. So a transformation talks is something that we have started there. A lot of sensitization is happening where people from the transgender community who are doing well are talking to college students and they're making them aware of the challenge people are facing. A lot of colleges have come forward and they have started supporting the community overall in various skills by training them on soft skills, by helping them find alternate careers in different fields. And I'm happy to announce that with collaboration with Pride Circle, we have held one of the first LGBTQ job fair in India, in Delhi specifically last year. Next year there is another plan of doing it. And many of these people have been placed in different communities. On the right side, and also another project that we are doing right now based on this, that we are starting a skill center, one of its kind skill center for transgenders, where we'll be helping them to set up their own enterprises as we move forward. And we've taken that responsibility of helping at least 100 transgenders in the next 1 year during this process. The next on the right hand side is Project Ashaएं. It's started by College of Vocational Studies, and they have picked up a community, a specific segment of the people who have been asset attack victims. And the challenge there is, a lot of challenges are there in terms of helping them set up their career, also taking them out of their shell, even though their physical injuries are healed up, but there are a lot of mental and emotional injuries they are going through. So this college is supporting them in various aspects. So they are picking up people from asset attack victims and they are helping them, like creating a mentor group around them, and they're helping them with whatever need they have. They connect them with various celebrities, they connect them with various links, and make sure they help them in skill building, and they also help them in getting into jobs which are comfortable for them. So this is another initiative which is a different target group. Another most important thing I think people face is in terms of education. I think this is a very important model that I want to share, which has also scaled up quite well through collaborations, and because the problem is quite prominent everywhere. This is called Kilkari Pathshala. This started almost 2 years back, where a group from Khaliddi College initially identified there are a lot of kids who do not go to school. And once they started identifying the problem deeper, they initially got them admitted into schools under right to education. But later on, they figured out most of them came back, dropped out, because they were not interested in the same model the way, because the teacher-student ratio was very skewed. And there are a lot of other challenges people are facing. So they created a bridge school for them, where the students took the responsibility that the evening, a group of students every day will teach them for 2 hours. And they started teaching them a lot of skills along with vocational and other things together. And within 3 months, they were trained in such a way that once after that, then they were admitted into school, the dropout was really less. Like it almost reversed. Initially, it was more than 90%. This time, it was less than 10%. And the two, yep, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you. You have like 2 minutes to wind up your
Okay, I'm good with 2 minutes. Thank you. The last project I want to discuss about is Arogya, which is around healthcare, which is about making people aware about sanitation issues, especially women, and also provide them with good quality sanitary pads. And most of the cases, people start sanitary pad production in these cases, but these people were a little smart. They said that people are already making sanitary pads. So they started procuring those sanitary pads at a very low cost from different communities, identified an entrepreneur within the community, and through them, they have started circulating these sanitary pads at a very low cost. Good quality sanitary pads to very low cost to these communities, started creating a lot of awareness camps around it, and also creating this model sustainable. That's the most important part, that not only awareing people or helping them with funds, but they're also making this sustainable by including a component of entrepreneurship, by including a person from the community who has become entrepreneur by selling these sanitary pads at a margin. So till now, I'll just give you an overview. Through these methods, we were able to connect more than 21,060 dreams in last 2 years or so. More than 553 lives, 553,000 lives have been impacted overall, directly and indirectly. More than 80 plus communities across India have been reached where we have done certain projects or not. Something else. 265 projects have been executed so far using this model in different areas, and that means it's replicable. And change makers till now have been involved are more than 11,000 through this entire process. So you could see the map where you could see the distribution of the states and the places where we have worked in these projects. And these are the number of projects we have done across in different SDGs. So as I said, that we don't even start with the SDG, we start with the community. So once the community is there, they give us the challenges and the SDGs are aligned along with. So this process is very simple, and we have tested and structured it in such a way that we were able to replicate it, and we have got good success rate in almost all the places that we have worked till now. And we're looking forward to collaborate with other partners and make this as a global model and help other partners to make it like we can replicate it in other places, so that there is a lot of learning that can come across from different places. And that's what we want to do. We would like to connect more than 10 million dreams by 2025. That's a mission. That's what we are trying to move towards. And connecting dreams and connecting lives is the motto. Thank you very much again for giving this opportunity. And we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tuteja, for your views and sharing how you're working with the CDF and working with the youth on working on the Sustainable Development Goals. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Caesar, who is a sustainability leader, author, and a lecturer. He has worked with many for-profit, non-profit, and governmental organizations. Mr. Caesar is the recipient of 2013 Harvard University Derek Book Civic Prize Award for his community service initiatives. I welcome Mr. Caesar, and we're delighted to have you with us. Can you hear us, and can we have you on this stage? Stephen, do we have Mr. Caesar with us?
Yes, we have Mr. Caesar with us, or he's muted.
Okay.
Ashima, you can invite the next speaker by the time he joins, please.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so next we have with us Dr. Joseph Raisara, who is a medical doctor, public health practitioner, and a social justice activist with over 17 years of community service experience. He is the founder and executive director of Never Again Rwanda. Thank you, Dr. Joseph, for joining us, and we are really looking forward to your words and your views on global citizenship for youth.
Yeah, thank you, and it's a pleasure being part of the panel. As you said, I'm the executive director of Never Again Rwanda. Never Again Rwanda is a peace building and a social justice organization. It has 5 program areas. It has governance and human rights, peace building, research, advocacy, and strategic partnerships. But you find that almost 60% of our interventions rotate around youth empowerment, because we do think that the future of this planet lies in the hands of the young people. Let me include the PowerPoint. So my presentation, this is the structure, the definition of the youth, understanding global citizenship and SDGs, exploring youth participation, the Never Again's Rwanda link to SDG 16 and 17, challenges and opportunities, Never Again Rwanda's experience, transformative change, conclusion, and of course, if there is any questions, and I will be able to respond to them. So as you all know, the United Nations defines youth as persons between the ages of 15 and 24. On the other hand, in Rwanda, youth are classified as persons aged between 14 and 30. This is due to the fact that the country has originated from genocide against the Tutsi 26 years down the road. So the age had to be increased from 24 to 30 so that youth who had not got the opportunity to attain education and livelihoods, they can be able to also be able to have opportunity. So the World Report estimates that there is around 1.2 billion young people aged between 15 to 24 years who account for 16% of the global population. So that's why it's crucial that young people are part and parcel of what is being done for them. They need to be at the center of what is being done so that they can be able to run the process, because the future is theirs. So Oxfam defines global citizen as someone who is aware of and understands the wide world and their place in it. A global citizen is encouraged to be active, collaborate to champion for equity, fairness, sustainability, and social justice. All the 17 Sustainable Development Goals highlight the importance of developing global partnerships through which strategies are aimed at improving health, education, addressing inequality, and fostering economic growth while tackling climate change. In addition, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250 highlights participation, partnerships, prevention, protection, and disengagement and reintegration as 5 pillars for action related to young people's contribution to peace processes and conflict resolution. The aforementioned increased and inclusive representation of youth in decision-making at all levels in local, national, regional, and international institutions and mechanisms is highlighted as critical to achieving the prevention and resolution of conflicts. Yeah, in reference to the World Youth Report on Youth and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it was noted that active engagement of youth is crucial in sustainable development. And in addressing threats to sustainable development, including climate change, poverty, unemployment, gender inequality, migration, conflict, and violence. Never Again Rwanda believes that youth have the ability to foster change in their communities through their engagement in activities that aim to empower them with peace values, critical thinking, tolerance of diversity, entrepreneurship skills, social justice, respect of human rights, and democratic values. Why critical thinking? When you look at governments across the world, they all talk about youth empowerment. But the most essential thing that misses in the messages that are given to the youth is critical thinking. How do they innovate? How do they use their available? At Never Again Rwanda, it's one of the core areas that we engage young people so that they can be able to analyze things critically. And it is also one way to help young people to understand the consequences and how to mitigate conflicts. Never Again acknowledges that the fact that despite existing governments and civil society organizations' efforts, a lot more still needs to be done to support youth to meaningfully participate and contribute to address global challenges. Through our 5 pillars, peace building and human rights, youth engagement, strategic partnerships, and research, Never Again Rwanda aims to promote a culture of peace, justice, and collaborate with partners to build strong partnerships aimed at a sustainable development. That is not as linked to SDG 16 and 17. However, there are some challenges, and these are minimal youth-led activities and initiatives with adults serving as supporters or facilitators to these initiatives. It's at times challenging when you meet representatives of youth who are at the ages of 50 and 60. So at times it makes it very hard to give the young people the opportunity to drive the change that they would want to see. So I think adults, we need to be facilitators, and we give the space to the young people so that we can be able to have youth as global, as active as global citizens. There's also limited access to resources among youth, most especially those from vulnerable communities. At times you find that access to resources is accessed by youth who are from well-to-do families, but youth from vulnerable communities find it challenging to be able to access resources. There's of course ignorance and intolerance, because we've seen that youth are most especially exploited, and you find themselves in getting involved in conflict or being used because of ignorance. So there is need to make sure that young people are empowered with critical thinking skills so that they can be able to decide what is good and what shouldn't be done by themselves. Due to ignorance also, there is also lack of interest in global issues, most especially those that are not tied to the benefit. For example, climate change. It's hard for them to link how climate change might affect their day-to-day well-being. So these are some of the challenges that young people are facing. But if you want to have them as key players in global issues, we need to find a way of facilitating them so that they can be able to overcome these challenges. Of course, poverty is cross-cutting, and as I said, it's also linked to climate change. In some societies, youth involvement in armed conflict as a result of manipulation. I had said it earlier, because of the ignorance. So warring groups or rebel groups, most especially on the African continent, you find that the biggest percentage of those that are involved in conflict are youth. But due to the manipulations and due to lack of employment, this gives them, they become victims of being involved in conflict. And also due to the fact that there's lack of stable families. Lack of stable families have created trauma and depression. So we are seeing youth who can't be able to act active in global issues because of transgenerational trauma that they've acquired due to the fact that they come from dysfunctioning families. Of course, with the recent and current dynamics, youth across the globe, most especially young girls, are becoming pregnant at another age. So if we are looking at youth being active in global issues, we won't have more female youth being active because they miss opportunities just because of early pregnancies. Never Again provides youth with the following opportunities. We provide spaces for youth empowerment so that they can be able to innovate, they can be able to participate, and also be able to acquire opportunities so that they can be able to determine their future. Non-formal educational capacity building activities. We develop tools for youth development in order to ensure youth are equipped to serve as agents for positive change, most especially in a society that has had genocide. We support youth to express and debate their views on democratic values. We call this Inzira Nziza. Nziza is it's in Kinyarwanda. It means a good road. And in this initiative, we engage them in governance and human rights so that they can be able to spearhead democracy and good governance.
Dr. Joseph,
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you wind up in like 2-3 minutes?
Yeah. And of course, we take leadership roles in political participation as they effectively promote and protect human rights and support the diversities in the communities. So as I said, we also treat youth as leaders and involve them in governance as well as peace building initiatives. Youth are engaged in psychoeducation. We have 105 clubs across the country where youth use those spaces to be able to build their skills and trust among their peers. So we build local and international youth peace actors networks through the Peace Building Institute for 278 universities, students, and young professionals in what we call the Peace Building Institute community. So global citizenship is actual science all about facilitating and supporting youth to become active citizens. It has been proven that if young people are engaged, most especially in activities, initiative programs that they feel will impact their lives, they are likely to become the change makers. Thank you, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph, for your kind words, for your views on global citizenship for youth and how you are engaging with the youth on peace building activities through your organization. Thank you once again. Now I would like to have Ms. Kasha Slavener with us. She is the Gen Z filmmaker, photographer, writer, and a global youth leader. At 14, she founded the Global Sunrise Project. Her feature documentary, The Sunrise Storyteller, has been screened at more than 60 international film festivals and won 29 awards, including the Ron Kovic Peace Prize Award and Hiva Holler Women Transforming Media Award. As a committed advocate for peace, Kasha was the first recipient of the Kim Fu Youth Peace Award and Diana Award holder as well. I welcome you, Kasha, and we are delighted to have you. And the stage is all yours now to share your views and thoughts about global citizenship.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here among everyone who is very committed to working towards global citizenship. I'm gonna share my screen. I have a presentation for you all. I see that screen sharing has been disabled by the host. I could go into my presentation while we figure that out, or we can also go without.
Kasha, you can try sharing.
You should be able to share your...
Okay, great. So, as I am primarily a filmmaker and storyteller in my activism, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story and how I came to become a creative activist and how I share that work with other youth who are interested in becoming active global citizens. So, as you can see, I'm sitting in a toy train here that says The Storyteller, and I think it was always my destiny to use from a young age, to use my storytelling to express activism. Since I was about 6 years old, I've always had a passion for visual forms of creative expression, and I would bring my camera everywhere to document moments that were very special to me. When I was 13, I decided that I could start to use this hobby that I had to contribute locally to the causes that I cared about. I would sell what I called Cash's Cards of Kindness, which were greeting cards with photos that I had taken to fundraise for local women's shelters, a children's hospital ward, and other local causes in my hometown of Toronto, Canada. This is how I felt I could contribute my skills to social justice causes. I wanted to do something to help change the world, like I know so many other youth also do. But when I got into my early teens, I started to feel a lot of anxiety about the state of the world. My social media feed was filled with bad news. The screen showed me images of war in other countries, climate change progressing at alarming rates, and issues of gender equality and racial injustices. I felt overwhelmed and doubtful of my own ability to make a difference. But at 14, I decided that I had had enough of the bad news. I felt that there was a piece of the story that was missing. Before my first year of high school, I attended a youth peace camp with an organization called the Canadian Voice of Women for Peace. Every year in March, they send delegates to New York City for a United Nations conference on gender equality called the Commission on the Status of Women. The next year, my mom and I were selected to go. There were 6,000 people from all over the world there, and the people that I met, the stories that they shared, and their shared determination to rise above adversity inspired me. No matter the circumstances or challenges they faced, they sought out solutions. They tirelessly worked to create a positive impact in their communities. This experience changed my life, and it set me on a trajectory to create my first documentary film. I decided I had to use my passion for film and photography to help change the world. Somehow I knew that these stories of triumph over adversity could counteract all the negativity in the news that I was so used to seeing. After we returned home from the UN, I decided to pitch a crazy idea to my mother. I was 14 at the time, and I said, what if I could take a whole year out of school to travel the world and share stories of people overcoming the adversity in their communities? And that was a pretty big dream, considering I came from a single parent household and we didn't have the kind of money to just take a year out and travel the world. So this would be one of the greatest challenges. We didn't have money to make this kind of project just happen overnight. So we took my idea to the internet and started my first of 3 crowdsourced funding campaigns. I set out to make a documentary about role models in the global community who are making a difference despite all odds. The film is called The Sunrise Storyteller, and the sunrise is a universal symbol for hope. It is through these stories of triumph over adversity that I hope young people especially feel the courage to act in their own communities and see that they also have the power to make meaningful change. And I'm just going to quickly show the trailer for the film so you can all get a sense of the kind of stories I'm talking about.
Consumer court च जा सकता है कि नहीं जा सकता है it will be very quick ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ those courts are big ਤੇ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ
Right. So at the Global Sunrise Project, we believe in taking creative activism one step further to help empower youth in civic engagement and global citizenship. We pair exhibits and screenings with an interactive educational component so the young people can engage and so the young people we engage with can personalize the experience and reflect upon how they can take action in their own communities. So an example of a campaign we've run is called Picture 16, which focuses, it's a photo exhibit which focuses on the SDG 16 and its intersectionality with all the other SDGs, issues like water and food security, climate injustice, gender equality, and education. We created this exhibit in France at a student expo to educate youth attending on the need to create peace for the future. We had an interactive questionnaire wall where students could visually answer what peace meant to them and answer what their peace priorities were. For example, one question we posed was, how can the SDG 16 be achieved by 2030? Some students replied, investing in climate change and green energy, while others responded, education or nonviolence. Or to, what does peace personally mean to you? Some replied, respect all life on the planet, while others said, using my voice to speak up about the issues that matter to me. So young people not only have an awareness of the challenges that are going on in our world, but a vision for a better future. So many young people around the world share this, and we realize that our actions have a greater effect beyond our direct circles and our direct communities. And we're taking steps towards sustainable change so that we can have a better planet to live on. This is true global citizenship, working together, united for a cause for the betterment of our world. This experience in France inspired me to continue my outreach to students. I believe that youth have a strong desire to change the world, but sometimes we can feel powerless when we realize the scale of the challenges at hand. The recent pandemic and the climate crisis we're facing have been truly overwhelming. There is hope, though, in how many young people are stepping up to these challenges, but many still need guidance in identifying how they can as well. Which is why I created a workshop called A Gen Z's Guide to Creating Social Change. Students will watch the Sunrise Storyteller, and then we spend the next hour and a half with them learning about the Sustainable Development Goals and using them as a framework to evaluate the issues we see happening at a local, national, and global level. The workshop helps students uncover the skills that they already have, like painting or public speaking, organizing, or even playing sports. And they figure out how they can use these to contribute to the causes that they're passionate about, much like I did when I was younger and I used my photography to fundraise for local charities. SDG education is highly important in raising engaged global citizens. We're united by these goals globally to strive towards a better world. And when students get a chance to apply these individual goals to the issues they see occurring in their communities, cities, and around the world, we can understand better that we are not so different in our challenges, and we must work together as global citizens. Students complete the workshop with an initial plan for action that they'd like to take, and some examples of action plans that have come out of the workshop include a blog about legal justice for communities of color in Canada and the US. Another is a school-wide climate action week. and a food truck converted into a beauty salon providing free services for homeless women in Canada. I always stress that not everybody needs to be an organizer, a speaker, or a politician. Movements need volunteers, artists, social workers, lawyers, counselors. We need people of all perspectives, all talents, all professions to make a meaningful impact across all systems. Everyone's uniqueness has a place in changing the world, and helping youth tune into what it is that they love and can do makes them special is a unique way to help them mobilize to make a difference. Sometimes I think for young people, it's really scary to take the first step, but we always encourage them that getting out there in any way they can and starting to think about the ways that they can contribute to the causes they care about is a crucial first step in becoming active and engaged global citizens. So together we can unite to create sustainable peace for this planet, not only for our generation, but for generations to come. And youth are vital to that, to this movement. So I briefly wanted to share something that I'm currently working on. I'm happy to announce that I have just launched my next documentary called 1.5 Degrees of Peace. The film explores how climate action and peace are really more interconnected than we may think. Across the world, youth are activating the power of generations to demonstrate that a bold peace movement can make climate justice achievable. And climate justice now will help us create peace for future generations. Our social media handles are here, so you can join us in this journey of bringing this urgent and uplifting film to reality. So with that said, I want to thank you all for your dedication to youth and to global citizenship. As a young person, it's really inspiring to me to hear all of your stories. So that is my presentation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Kasha. Ashima, before you go on, Kasha, can you please share the link of the documentary you shared in the chat box? Because there was no sound and people want to watch.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I can definitely do that. I will send a link immediately.
Can I? Thank you, Kasha, for sharing your experiences as to how you became a youth activist in peace building activities and sharing your challenges in becoming the person you are today in working on sustainable development goals. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Cesar Marola, who is a sustainability leader, author, and a lecturer. He has worked with many for-profit, non-profit, and governmental organizations. Mr. Cesar is the recipient of 2013 Harvard University Derek Book Civic Prize Award for his community engagement initiatives. We welcome you, Mr. Cesar, and we're delighted to have you. Please, the stage is all yours to share your thoughts on global citizenship. Mr. Cesar, you're on mute.
Here I am. All good?
Okay.
All right, awesome. Thank you. First of all, great pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I do not have a PowerPoint presentation, but definitely I'm more than happy to share my experiences. I'll be brief and to the point as much as I can. Global citizenship, so definitely a powerful word. What that means pretty much in my experience is engagement, education, and activism. I believe her name was Karen, presentation in activism and all the great action that she's doing, providing the message out there. But in my work, in my experience, and once again, from lectures at Harvard University, and also my consulting company, and also working in the private sector, work for T-Mobile and Deutsche Telekom in Europe. Particularly my work in Germany with Deutsche Telekom, how the youth can be inspired and educated and make change, positive change, through certain programs that the private sector, these big telecom companies provide. and work with communities and do partnerships. So, so we call it the private and public partnerships, PPPs. And I wrote extensively, particularly in my first book, about that. So the engagement in activism and the actions and the positive impact in communities is definitely through that particular message, education and workshops. Now, in Europe and here in the United States, I'm in Los Angeles, California, is not that difficult, I should say, or challenging to provide the message and educational path for the youth. I work in Northeast Africa with the Department of Defense. And of course, I've seen extreme inequalities from malnutrition to climate change impacts, environmental degradation, and things like that. And of course, and unfortunately, in those regions of the world, inequality and justice is quite substantial. So global citizenship, going back to the main term, how we can actually make a difference when there's so much inequality and access to information around the world, and how the youth can actually make an impact and participate in achieving the sustainable development goals. I think the main thing is for the corporations, private companies, and the public sector like cities, states, provinces, and nations as a whole to provide the elements and the tools to reach out to the youth, like we did in Germany, particularly, and actually giving the tools for them to participate in policy-making decisions. So this is key. Very difficult to achieve, but we have a lot of good intentions, and it's an honor to be here in front of each and one of you, because I can see the actions that you guys are taking towards all these issues, these global issues that we are facing today. But we have to make sure that we as leaders make the youth, the younger generation, the future leaders of our world, participate in policy making decisions. And what that means is for them to participate in community impact actions. Could be e-waste, which is a big problem. Climate change impacts as well, in recycling, things of that nature. The contamination of the ocean. We know we have a problem with plastics and things like that. So they can actually be involved in the city they live in, and write papers, push their leaders of the city as well, and participate in workshops. It could be symposiums, conferences, and things of that nature. So that movement itself can make politicians and policymakers lawyers, people who write the guidelines for policy to make the necessary change. If we don't link that let's call it bridge, which is broken, unfortunately, where we don't link that path between all the good intentions and the good ideas to the people who actually make change in our society, we are gonna keep struggling hardly all through our journey to make positive change. So our work, and what I did particularly was to interact and interlink the younger generation with the actions that we have at the in the private sector, and hear their ideas and hear their input, their insights, and incorporate some of that. And that brings what? Diversity, and excuse me, and engagement, and new ideas from a fresh perspective. So we all know the issues. Climate change is one of the big issues as well. We did a wonderful symposium last year at the Harvard Global Health Institute with Dr. Shah, Ashish Shah, and that was the involvement of the topic was climate change, public health, and migration. So many people mostly children, like migrating, of course, civil war and other issues that we are facing nowadays, but climate change impact. So what we did is actually come out with a workshop where it can be distributed to different communities and different sectors of society that have no access to this type of information. There's a lot of work, but when they disseminate these type of workshops or messages, symposiums, people get aware and they become active, right? And activism becomes part of their actions as well. So that's very important. So that what I'm talking pretty much is about the role of the institutions that have access to information, money, right, tools, and I can distribute that particular work onto the people that are in disadvantage, and work with those communities for the greater good. You know, that's pretty much it. Just to let me finalize it. I also participated in is a nonprofit NGO, non-governmental organization called Global E-Sustainability Initiative, which is a branch of Deutsche Telekom. Definitely just to work on human rights, particularly coming from the telecom company. So when we have this big issue of human rights, people working in undesirable conditions, we all know, the obligation, I should say, but definitely we call it responsibility of the private sector, the big companies, is to make sure that the people that work under their wing work in proper conditions, in good human conditions. So how the youth can participate there as well is when they start doing internships and working their way up into these big corporations, is to have a voice and actually present certain solutions toward this part of problem when these big companies work around the world, and the conditions that we have here in the US are very different than other countries like Cambodia or even Southeast Asia, just to name a region. And that's essential. Once again, you know, that participation is key for them to have a voice, and for us, the decision makers, to hear them and definitely, you know, come out with solutions and a good outcome for the greater society as a whole. That's what I can share briefly with you for now. And just once again, it's very important that just to participation in concrete actions take place. So we can achieve the SDGs goals and face all the issues with concrete solutions that we all know. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Caesar, for sharing your challenges for the global citizenship in implementing, and how we can bridge the gap for the gap between the businesses and the youth. Thank you. So now we have with us Dr. Sapna Narula. Dr. Sapna Narula currently serves at the Nalanda University, India, where she is the professor and dean of School of Management Studies. She is a distinguished academician in sustainability. Her career span of 22 years, she has played a key role in advancing education for sustainability through a number of initiatives targeted at raising awareness, capacity building among corporates, youth, managers, and policymakers. I welcome you, Dr. Sapna Narula, for joining us, and now the stage is all yours. Can you share a few thoughts about your experience and your way of engaging with the youth?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashima Mathur. First of all, let me congratulate you for having taken this initiative at GNST to start this global discussion on youth engagement for sustainable development goals. Of course, there is a lot of work happening at the in the various countries at the regional level, the national level, but we are not aware about that work So today, it was really heartening to see our youth leaders, Dr. Amit Tuteja, who had a wonderful career in genetics and science, and he left that to join social entrepreneurship. A few years back, when I was talking to him, I used to invite him for my class, and I used to ask him that what made him leave his science degree behind and move forward in this direction. So he told me that this is my passion, and he also talked about the challenges that he was facing 8 years back. Today I feel proud of Dr. Amit Tuteja, that how he overcame all these challenges and have been able to connect thousands and lakhs of youth through Connecting Dreams Foundation. On the other hand, we also have Dr. B.K. Sikka, who throughout his life was working on sustainable agriculture, working with young farmers, working with old age farmers. So mostly, I think around 60 years of his life he spent with the farmers. Kasha's example is really, I think she's the youngest of us all, and I must applaud her as a female, the way she is starting that storytelling experience. Kasha, well done. Caesar has his own story to share. Thank you, Caesar, for that. Now, if we talk about youth and sustainable development goals, you know that in 2030 agenda, all the heads of the states have agreed to have a world free of violence, a peaceful world, a just society, a clean environment for all of us. So we all want a world which is free of poverty, hunger, disease, and war. Where nobody is living in fear, where nobody is facing the violence or discrimination, and everyone is having universal access to education and peace. It's our right. It's our right to breathe in clean air. It is our right to grow up in an environment where we have enough food, nutritious food, healthy food to eat, and we have to bridge this divide. And Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 agenda, is an effort to move ahead in that direction. Now, if we talk about youth are the major vehicles of Sustainable Development Goals. I would say that they have a twin role to play in this direction. On one hand, they are the beneficiaries of education, of health, of peace, of sustainable consumption and production. And on the other hand, they are the architects of Sustainable Development Goals. Around 16% of the global population is young. That is, Dr. Joseph, he's doing a wonderful job, and he mentioned that there are two definitions that they face in Rwanda, and United Nations have this definition of youth, those who lie between 15 to 24 years of age. So 1.2 billion young people in this world, and we all rely on them. Sustainable development itself means that we have to promote we have to work for the future generations, and the onus lie on them. So with these words, I would like to tell you all that we have to engage them in multiple manners. Youth have got a lot of energy. They can be change makers for the society. The examples that were showcased today, whether it was Kasha's or Joseph's or Amit's example, they have been, and also our GNSD's own example, the work that our young team is doing, I must compliment them all, of promoting sustainability clubs, peace clubs under the leadership of our founder, President, Professor Marek Wosinski. So, the work we have done so far is really, really amazing. So youth participation and empowerment is very important. It is a twin engagement. It is not that, you know, sustainable development goals say that we have to do this for the youth, but we have to listen to their voices. There has to be a dialogue. We have to listen to their needs, how, you know, they can bear the burden of fulfilling or implementation of these targets. So we have to respond to their voices, we have to respond to their needs, we need those platforms, and we have to strengthen avenues through strong policies at the regional and the global level for youth participation and increasing investments in youth-led development. There are a number of examples beyond this as well. So, I'm sorry. This two-way engagement is going to give them, integrate them to the entire, 2030 agenda. So, gender issue has already been touched by Dr. B.K. Sikka, and then capacity development. So, we have to strengthen their capacities. Most of these people are aware. Dr. Tuteja is talking about a lot of people who are at college level and who are aware now about the sustainable development goals. Government of India has given SDGs an important place in national education policies at the school level, college level. We are talking about this, and at Nalanda University, we are starting new, we have started MBA in Sustainable Development and Management. Not only these programs, in the initial organization, in the previous organization, we were talking about, you know, building learning in sustainability science. So we promoted a couple of initiatives, and youth are interested in all these initiatives. So youth can play multiple roles when it comes to them. They can be a trainer, they can be a helping hands. The examples are very well showcased that, you know, in Natasha's case, you know, she's the communicator. So she is engaging with youth. She is trying to, take them along. And Amit has, you know, trained the youth to be community agents. So whether it is the menstrual hygiene or, you know, I have the opportunity to see Connecting Dreams project. I'm, part of that. So it is really heartening to see that how everyone is so very much involved. So this is how, they can be the change agents in their, nearby communities. They can work for the community development, and they can be awareness agents. One, in India, we had each one teach one. So I would now call for each one train one. So if even a single student trains the other student in SDGs, makes him aware, him or her aware. So I think we have to go by this slogan of each one train one. So, youth are the decision makers. They have a lot of energy. See, they know all the technologies. So whenever we face any problem, we look up to them. IT and other technologies. So IT is something that they can easily connect with. Today's meeting is an excellent example where everyone, and there are beyond this Zoom also, there are people who are watching it on Facebook, etc. So it is very easily, connected, and youth have this power to engage more than us, because they have their own style, they have their own potential, they have a lot of energy. So we have to, increase young women's participation also in sustainable development goals. So again, many of these projects are specifically targeted at young women. We were working in a project in the Jharkhand state, where we went to these young women, and they had limited education, and when we asked them what would they like their training to be in, so they very heartily said that they wanted to be trained as beauticians. They wanted to open up a salon for them. Then they wanted to start a sewing machine. So we had never thought that their aspirations are different. urban youth, they live in different kind of environment, and rural youth and rural women, they live in different kind of environment. So we have to listen to these target communities. Different communities have got different needs, so different models might apply at the rural level. So whether it is the climate change or climate action, or we say talk about resource efficiency, energy, water, and waste. So even if we start from our households, what happens is that, if my child tells me that you don't have to do this practice because it is unsustainable, obviously we have to accept what he or she is saying. So let us admit that we have been mostly unsustainable. Our generation is the most unsustainable generation, and now we have learned our lessons, whether it is the Chennai flood or Australian forest fires, or forest fires in California, and now you can see Hyderabad floods in India. So amazing, pathetic pictures. COVID-19 is a good example. So we have learned our lessons, and we have to now look forward to, let us now leave it here and give the baton in the hands of the youth, so that they can look forward to these things. I understand that there were a lot of challenges. Kasha has showcased, Kasha has showcased beautiful video. Joseph and Amit's work is there, but I'm sure behind this presentation also there are a lot of challenges that come along with it. And yes, so this is a good initiative. Again, my compliments to all of you who have joined us, and especially to Dr. Ashima Mathur and her team. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna. Thank you for your kind words and for sharing your experiences and thoughts on global citizenship. Our volunteers from Terry University have made a short video on global citizenship for youth, and we would like to share that video before we start the question and answer round. Stephen, we don't have the voice. Yeah, thank you for the video, and the video will be there on our Facebook page as well. You can view the video again. Now, I would like to ask few questions to our panel members. My first question is to Dr. Tuteja. We would like to know as to what barriers or challenges you're facing every day in implementing these models which you've created, and are these models replicable or scalable at global level?
Thanks, Ashima, for this question. I think barriers are many, but there are a lot of positives as well. We are also learning as we are moving ahead. And barriers in terms of, there are a lot of things in terms of, because people are also busy with their colleges. So we have to align all these programs with the academic calendars. And we have to make sure each of them gets appropriate training at certain times, because the number is so huge out there. Sometimes it's very difficult to train each and every one of the change maker out there. So we are trying our best to come out with models like in terms of online trainings, virtual models, hybrid models, where we can train them properly. Finally, once they are properly trained, I think the kind of projects that come out are really good. The models, as I said, that we have tried and tested them at various scales. We have done that in local communities. We have used the models in villages, remote locations. We have used them in small groups. We have done that in bigger groups, different kind of communities. We have seen good results. I'll not say 100% conversion because there will always be some dropouts everywhere. But I'll say between 60 to 80%, we have seen results everywhere. The scale and the performance of each of these projects might be different, but the results are really good. The direction in which that we are moving is improving the quality of the projects that are coming out, improving the quality of change makers that are coming out. And many of these change makers are now like taking appropriate and good choices as we're moving forward. Many of them have changed their careers in last 8 years, as I can say that. All the 11,000 people we have interacted with till now, many of them have changed their careers after going through this program, after going through this experience, because there are many people who, I'll say that in some programs when we do it in villages, many of the people who go to these villages have never seen a village in their life. When they go to that village, they experience the life there, they experience the challenges. The first thing that comes out is empathy. And I think that's very important when people live in cities, because most of our change makers are from cities. We have although started a program for villages as well, for village change makers with Ashoka, but most of them are from cities right now. So the kind of environment everyone is brought up in is very different. It's quite competitive overall, I'll say. Okay, and what we are trying to do is to, I'll say, we are trying to make them better humans. So if I talk about, we are talking about SDGs here, but I just want to put one point. It's a little different from the question, but I just wanted to highlight it. Like if you look at the human values of freedom, equality, solidarity, tolerance, respect for nature, shared responsibility, if every one of us behave in this way, do we need to teach about SDGs? Each of these SDGs are accomplished anyhow, because we are not, we are going away from these human values. We are going away from a basic model of how can you help others into a model where there is a lot of competition. We are trained in a system, the education system is made such that you can compete with other people. From the time you're born till the time, I think, you're no more, there is competition at every stage, because your mindset has been made in that way that you always compete. But if you think success is not about competition, what I believe, it is about contribution. I think the biggest winners are those who help others win. And if everyone works towards that particular goal, that I want to support the other person to become a better human being, the world would be a better place to live. Because once you shift your focus from competition to contribution, life will be a celebration. It will not be a stress. And we are living in a stressful environment. And as you can see, a lot of examples, Kasha's example, she started a journey. There is a lot of risk. I agree. There's a lot of risk in everything that you do, even if it is a job or even if it is entrepreneurship, whatever you do, there will be a risk. But if you're given a good ecosystem and a helping hand and a mentorship for a long term, I think many of the people will convert into change makers. They'll become better human beings. And the moment you become better human beings, the 2030 agenda, I think we can achieve it even faster. If everyone adopts it, that we just want to become better human beings. We'll just respect the nature, the way we are living in. Because it's giving us so much. And how can we contribute back to the world which has given us so much till now? The moment we start thinking in this direction, we can actually achieve SDGs and become better human beings overall, and we'll be happier and we'll live together in a better way. I think the model that we have tried and tested, I think it needs a lot of other combinations. It's not a fixed model, I'll say. We are just trying to create an ecosystem where people can come together, communicate, give them a framework, but a lot of permutation combinations and changes are done by the change makers themselves. So we give them those tools and make them, enable them and empower them that you can solve your own problems in a better way. That's what we are trying to do. And I think this thing can be replicated anywhere in the world. It doesn't need, it will get improved for sure. With every step we are improving, we are learning. I'll not say it's a 100% foolproof model that need no changes. It obviously needs a lot of improvement and changes as we grow. But it's a framework that we have adopted, and this framework we've tested in various locations, and it is replicable and scalable as of now, as we can say, anywhere in the world.
Oh.
Problems will be different, people will be different, but I think the approach, the way you approach that problem is something that we are trying to teach.
Right, right. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Tuteja. Okay, so we are actually running short of time, and I have a good list of questions, but I'll try to skip some and have some. So my next question is for the entire panel, that can you tell us or highlight what are your recommendations, policy recommendations at the global and national level, which can help us in bridging and bringing the youth and the sustainable development goals together? So yeah, so whoever wants to start first can go ahead with it.
I think so far, efforts are on, but still a lot more needs to be done in this space. Because see, youth also have limited time. Institutionalize the youth participation in the SDGs. There is the government organization or different departments at the ministry level. They have to facilitate this youth engagement. So I'm just giving you a simple example. So if there is a school assembly, and in the morning, one person comes with a new innovative thought, that on SDGs, okay? So just we have to give space in the already existing timetable or the course curriculum. We are glad that Government of India has already done that, but I think other governments also need to see that. Then we have to develop it at the various levels, and we have to leverage the technology. Leveraging technology to mobilize youth. See, we may not be using so much mobile phone or laptops or technologies, but I'm sure they know much more than us. So technology is one tool by which our youth it is easier for us to engage with the youth. They can connect with themselves, people from India can connect with Nepal or Philippines or in other countries. So we have to leverage the potential that various information and communication technologies are having. Then, regular dialogue at the various level, and the action planning. Dialogue means two-way. So we have to also listen to them. It's not that, we have a training program and we want them to do this training program whether they are interested or not. So it has to come from the bottom. They are innovators. They are the change makers. They have a lot of creativity and innovation. So we have to, do certain contests to exhibit this, to foster this creativity and innovation. So innovation is also one of the keys. And then we have to develop communities of practice on data-driven social accountability. Each one, young person has a lot around his or her vicinity and can make a change. I think this is something that I always talk about, that, sustainable behavior. It's okay that I'm doing MBA in sustainability, or I'm doing MBA in sustainable development. I'm participating in CDF projects. But if I don't preach, if I don't practice what I preach, then it is going to be difficult for all of us. So they have to change their behavior. So I think character building and this is something that that is very important, that they have to inculcate in them a zeal towards sustainable behavior. So moving on cycles, using shared transport. In urban areas, you see people, one person is having 2 or 3 cars, which is unsustainable. So we have to take youth away from this. They can, share their car with their own, classmates. So simple habits. I do not have, very jazzy words in sustainability, but I can actually see, where the change starts. So then we have to do a lot related to skill development. Rural youth especially, they have indigenous skills. And we have to train them. We have to identify these indigenous skills that they have and leverage these skills to create new markets for them. What they need is that they need markets and technologies. So I think entrepreneurship is one thing that I think we should encourage. And our new scheme Atmanirbhar Bharat also targets the good work in this particular scheme. So everyone has to be self-reliant. So we do not have to look after the jobs. It is said that artificial intelligence and big data will threaten the people, but I don't see that. There are new kinds of skills and new kinds of jobs which have to be emerged. When computers came, we all were thinking that way, and there was a lot of resistance in Europe and in India also. So, but I think these new technologies, if we leverage them in the right manner, and I think there's a lot of space for youth to become social entrepreneurs. Mostly the unsustainable models that we have seen in our world, they are responsible for our problems. But if we start about management, pick up a small problem and do something out of it, and replication becomes we do later. But even if we do something related to our nearby community, that's I think a good thing. And we have to invest. So investments need to come from the corporates, governments, the right kind of policy, creation of these platforms. These are some of the strategies, as Ashima has just asked. I hope I have elaborated, just like I'm a professor. So if you ask me to speak, I will be speaking. So okay. So Ashima, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sapna. You very well answered my question. Now, I would
Ashima,
request Sure.
Ashima, can I say something?
Sure. Yeah.
I think Sapna
definitely. Go ahead, Doctor.
No, Sapna, just a few words, So as you said that at national level or international, what should be you see our common structure for the goals and all. I give you one example. I have conducted one survey for one of the NGOs, international NGOs. And you will be surprised, in the one small area, the requirement of one village and other village, one village near the forest fringe area, its requirement is different, and which is away, the requirement is different. So it is very challenging to have a common strategy or common, goal toward the, what you call, to make a, a model, So as Mr. Amit also said that we are facing challenging is developing models. I think it is a very tough and challenging job to make a sustainable model for each and every. We cannot for other area is similar, and their requirements are similar. Secondly, I tell you, with this COVID, I think new model has emerged, meeting with Zoom and meeting on all these, on platforms, I think that is a good opportunity. And with this, we can, link the world, like that we are sitting here and more than 100 participants are there from Canada, US, Africa, and different parts of the world, So it is, through these, what we call media, we can connect the people, and we can evaluate their needs, and we can chalk out the strategies further. That is my issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I absolutely agree that no one model can work in one region. In fact, these models have to be localized and suited to the needs of the local communities. Thank you, Dr. Sikka, for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. Yeah.
Okay, so now we can have the questions from the audiences. Stephen, will you ask the audiences, and if there is any question, they can
write on the chat.
Yeah, they can write on the chat, and we can very well.
Yeah, Nishigandha Khernar, she wants to ask a question. Nishigandha Khernar. Okay, so there are a few good comments about the speakers, so that I think you can later have a look. People are impressed by Kasha and Amit and others. So, is there any question? No.
Okay, so I have few more questions. We have talked about the challenges. Every one of you have discussed about the challenges which we are all facing in different parts and how in engaging the youth. My next question is about the opportunities you see in engaging the youth. Any one of you can go ahead with it, and yeah.
Ashima, can I?
Sure, Dr. Sikka, you can start. Yeah.
Since I am from the field of agriculture, so after this COVID, food is going to be the new fuel for the world.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have to chalk out our strategies in particular in agriculture sector, so that they, we have seen number of examples that people coming back from what you call plain areas to the hills, particularly Uttarakhand, to the agriculture and horticulture in particular, and now they are doing very well. So I think we have to engage the youth, as we have to customize the requirements, and then we bring them policies and for which they can have the benefit of that, and they can only problems that it. Thank you.
When it's not entirely our fault that those problems have been created and that they're systemically ingrained, that we're continuing to support infrastructures that are failing our societies. So we need to make sure that, one, the infrastructures are changing so that we can choose sustainable habits more easily. And we need to make sure that the corporate sectors and governments are following suit. So I would say that that is something that we should consider.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
maybe,
you. Yeah.
Yeah, what I can add on is that most especially when we look at the pandemic, the current COVID-19, it has shown that I think the youth need access to information. And in order to be able to achieve that is to make sure that they have access to internet and all the digital platforms. Because when we talk about entrepreneurship, they also need access to information to know where the opportunities are. When they have all these business initiatives, they need to know how to access funds, to access loans, so that they can be able to start their businesses, but also to be able to domesticate the Sustainable Development Goals, there is need of access to information, because majority of young people are not well versed with SDGs. So they don't know how they are interrelated to the development. So I think in terms of efforts, I believe that there is need to have SDGs popularized so that we can even use social media to educate the young people and be well versed with the SDGs.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Joseph, thank you. Yeah, we agree with what you're saying. I would again request the audiences, if they have any questions for the panelists, you can just go ahead or just type your message.
Ashima, if there are no questions, I just want to add one more thing to the discussion. Okay. It's been a wonderful discussion so far. And I just want to put a few thoughts around sustainable development. Like the way we see sustainable development is the gap between excess and excess. So I'll just, I've typed it in the chat box just to explain, because these are two very similar words. One is EXESS and one is ACCESS. So if you look at every SDG, there will be a problem of excess that changes the balance, and there will be a problem of excess which also changes the balance. So if you look at hyper-local environment, this gap would be less. But if you look at a state level, national level, global level, the gap is huge. In some cases, if you talk about healthcare, there are so many hospitals in cities like New Delhi and other metro cities that there is a challenge on how do you give optimized treatment to everyone, because everyone is trying to make this as a commercial model. Same goes with education. But there are places where you don't have even basic facilities, where you don't even have access to basic education, don't have access to basic stuff. So and I think everyone has a role to play in this, be it the government, be it the people as individuals, as citizens, or be it the community, be it the corporates. Everyone can contribute to bridge this gap. Even by one step, it will be important. If people are in the villages, if they can support and start communicating with the people in cities like the way we are doing it using technology, I think this gap will be bridged a little bit. And these tools and everything that we do. So if for next 10 years, if we decide that whatever we do, whatever we work is to bridge this gap, be it working in a corporate model, working by creating technologies, or doing anything, or creating policies. If everything is aligned to bridge this gap between excess and excess, I think SDGs will be attained or achieved for sure. I think this is what I want to put as a final words from my side, that this is that if we can bridge this gap wherever, in whichever SDG, whichever component, I think most of the problems will be solved, because we don't even see the problems from that respect, because we are looking at the symptoms, not the cause. And I think the cause for all the problems, all the change in balance is this gap between excess and excess. If we just work on it, I think that's the core of bringing the balance back into the life, into the globe, and live a healthy and a happy life. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank
Nishi
you.
is back. She's saying that her internet was down. So Nishikanda, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question to Kasha? She has a question for Kasha. She has been writing for long. Then her internet went down. Yeah.
Hi Kasha. Good evening, and I don't know what time is there where you are, but I had a question, like at the age of 14, like why did you think that just taking pictures and asking people to help bring you change would be something that's going to work? Like why like how did you dare to do something like that at such a young age? Like I remember when I was 14, the only thing I was worried about was like what homework I have to do tomorrow that I have to get to submit. So
yes, wonderful question, please.
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. I would say that largely the environment that I grew up in had a big role to play. I've grown up with my single mother who is very passionate about peace, passionate about environmental issues, social justice, and she raised me with the value to care for others and to leave the world better than we found it. So when I was young, I have always cared for my community locally. And you know, when I wasn't quite sure how I could contribute, the one thing that was most natural to me was using the skill that I had. And I noticed that the way Canadian and American media depicts the rest of the world is very, it's very plays up on stereotypes. It's very
one-dimensional.
Very negative. And I thought that hearing stories of people who were doing good things could empower other people to also do the same, because we're so used to one narrative of the world. And the world is more complex than that. There are multiple narratives and truths that can exist at the same time. And we need to see all of those truths represented. So we need to hear how people are doing the sustainable development, even with a lack of resources, even with a lack of maybe access to information, rural communities, cities, all around the world. People are really working hard because they also share that passion for leaving the world better than they found it. So that's what inspired me, and I thought that people should hear those stories.
Thanks, Kasha. I have one more question to Dr. Amit. Sir, you said that there is a lot of competition, you know, in our country, because right after we pass 10th, we are worried about getting into engineering. We're worrying about getting into, you know, competitive exams. So how do we compartmentalize competition and being better humans, like right from the beginning, and learning how to be, you know, more effective when we are together, rather than just, you know, thinking about ourselves, like getting out of the rat race and actually achieving something that can, you know, bring such a big change, rather than just getting us a 9-to-5 job. Like, how do we change that mindset firstly, rather than others, firstly in ourselves and then others? Because if we don't have that in ourselves, it's not going to be effective if we tell that to others. That's my question.
Thanks, Nishikanda. I have a question for you as well. All right. So, do you want to remain happy or stressful? When do you feel happiest?
I feel happy when others are happy with me.
Yes.
So
That's
you feel happy. I think you feel happy when you're in your zone, when you do something which you feel really good about. Right? Just as Kasha said, that she feels happy by her skill of telling stories, by her skill of capturing stories. So I think it's a moment, it's a time when you have to look for something which aligns with your hobbies, which aligns with your passion, and then make it a career. I think we are living in this world that we have to look for options which are not stereotypes, which are not something which had been laid. Everyone has a very different life. Don't you think, like, if you fix your life from the beginning, because that's how we live. From the time you're born, you're already being told that you have to go to school, then you have to do your engineering, then you have to become an engineer or do MBA, become a banker, and live your life, and you're dead. So if you just become a photocopy of any other life, or Xerox of any other life, do you think it's a wonderful life to live? So you'll have to find your ways. And I just tell you one thing that I have, someone told me once that everyone will have to face their share of failures in their life. Okay, so it's till the time you are doing your education, we are very scared of becoming failures, isn't it? We're very scared, so we are very afraid of failure. So I think if you don't fail till the time you complete your education, then you'll fail once you go into the life. Okay, so if you double your failure rate within the comfort zone when you are doing your education or doing something else, then your life will be really successful. Then you're not afraid of failures. Then you're not afraid of taking risks. And then you'll be happy. And that's when you will align your passion, your goal with your career. So that's the first step. You have to see that you have to identify that what you're doing is something that's your inner calling. You have to identify, is it that something that you're doing is making you happy? If it is not making you happy, nothing else will. Because job will not give you happiness, money will not give you happiness. Happiness is something that will come from inside. And once you start, as you said, that if you can bring happiness to other people's faces, that's give you happiness. So that's your calling. So go with that. And I think that's the first step you have to take. I hope I was able to answer a little bit. It's a journey. It's an experience that you have to take. It can't be answered in one thing, but I tried to give whatever I can. So that's what my journey was all about. Till the time I did everything the best possible education you can take. After PhD, there were no options. So I thought, let me reverse the cycle and uneducate myself and do something which gives me happiness. And that's when life is very different. That's when the life is very different. Because you see, the competition is all about taking something else from someone. If you're expecting something from something, there will be competition. There will be so many people. So there are few seats in IITs or other places, and there are so many people out there to compete for it. But if you start working or thinking in a direction that if you want to give back, if you want to contribute with your skills, whatever best you can give, there is no competition there. You can give what you can give best. If there is no competition there, your stage from here will turn to here when you're giving rather than taking. When you're giving rather than taking, the life is very different. Life is a celebration. The mind process will change. You will do exactly the same thing that you were doing before, but now you will be doing just because you are contributing it. Don't you think so? I'll give you a very small example. I think I'm extending the time limit. Ashima is looking at me, but I'll just give you one more thing. Like when you take your exam, you study, okay? But when you are teaching your younger siblings or someone else, then also you study. What is the difference?
Well, now two people know the same thing that I learned.
So when you teach someone, you study. I think you study to learn. When you teach someone, you study to learn, so that your concepts are very clear, because then you're teaching someone. But when you are studying to give an exam, it's a very different kind of thing, because then you want to obtain some marks. You may not study to learn. You'll just make sure that you just cover up all the questions and get the marks. But the moment you start studying to teach someone, your entire psychology, entire thinking, entire mindset will change. Just think from that direction. And I think most of your questions will be answered there. So start thinking from a direction, whatever you're doing, do to learn. Study to learn and not to earn. That's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, guys, for answering my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishi, for your...
I think I would like to add to what simply, Ashima, if you give me 20 seconds. You yourself, Nishigandha, told us that you want to be happy, and you are happy only when people around you are happy. The community, the society, the people around you are happy.
I think she lost the connection. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so with the paucity of time, we just had 2 hours. I would like to first thank all my panel members for telling their views, sharing their views, their experiences, and how we can all work together to build a better future, to work on the sustainable development goals. Just 2 lines to summarize this entire session. On the personal note, I feel from this session that we are all linked together for the better and the worst. We all have to work collectively towards these goals, not just these 2030 agenda, but beyond that as well. Our actions can be local, but together they can build to a global level. One of my questions, which I couldn't ask, was that how we all can work locally and how our actions can be scalable. But yeah, I think through the presentations, you all have answered it well, that our local actions can build to the global future we envision. And with that, I would like to thank and end this session. I would ask Munir Ahmed to give the vote of thanks, so that after that we can end it. Yeah. Thank you, panel members, once again. Yeah. Munir.
It has been more than 2.5 hours now. I won't take more than a minute. Ashima, thank you for moderating this session so beautifully and sublimely. I extend my gratitudes to each and everybody who was presented today, the participants. But thanks to the speakers, they were very comprehensive, informative regarding the paradigms of SDGs, sustainability, and the entanglement between the SDGs and global youth. I'd like to thank Amit Tuteja, Cesar Morella, Joseph, Kasha, and Professor Sapna Narula. I'd like to thank Professor B.K. Sikar for guiding us always, Professor Marek Bosinski. I would like to thank each and every participant who had been with us during this session. And thanks to our country coordinators, volunteers, and most specifically, I would like to thank our promoters and partners, CDF Connecting Dreams Foundation, Indigram Labs, Indian Society of Agribusiness Professionals. Before signing out, I would like to thank each and everybody for being with us. Ashima, you can wind up now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be sharing the resources which we have collected through this discussion. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.